then you probably shouldn't be playing for the Warriors. It's just a bylaw by now. It's part of it. We don't take it personally. And, they appreciate your fire. And how's it going already? Just a couple days on the court.
It's been an amazing couple days. 2 great practices. And, I think coming off a championship, your worry is always that you have that hangover. Now, quite frankly, you're not certain that you don't have the hangover only after 2 practices, but you get a good sense of the guys that you have, of the team that you have. And, I think for me, it's a very comforting feeling coming back and just seeing guys humming and connecting on all levels. And that's what it's about. You don't want to get out the gates to an awful start, although that's always possible and it's something that could be corrected. You want to get off to a good start. So I think that's our focus and, looking to have a successful run defending the championship.
Mark Spears, ESPN's Landscape. Hello.
What's up, my brother?
How you doing?
I'm amazing.
Tell me about the thought process you had when you made your Sarver comments. How much of it did you read? Did you talk to LeBron and Chris, or did you just come up with your own take? Just guide me through what you eventually said, and perhaps also it seemed like things. I don't know if you were to tip of the iceberg on it or whatever, but things seemed to change like shortly after. Just your whole thoughts on the Sarver situation.
I didn't talk to many people about it. I kind of read what I read and I listened to everything everyone else said. And for me, I think my thought process was as such. I've always said, be sure and certain in what you're asking for. So many times you come out with these ask, and it's like so general that you give someone an out just because the ask is not quite it's not quite as particular as it should be. And so for me, I just wanted to ask the questions that I asked. If this is governed by a vote, then why isn't there a vote? Because it's 100% a fireable offense. It's 100% a forcible, to force a sale type of event. So why isn't there a vote? If that's what has to happen, because I think the one thing we're all certain of is that's what should happen. So if there is a way that can happen, then why hasn't those steps been taken? And so I think for me, my goal was just to find out the facts first before speaking out. And that took me a few days of reading and watching and listening to different people, different thoughts. And then to not be unfair to anyone. So I didn't want to be unfair to the NBA. As I said on my podcast, the NBA has been great. And decisions that they had to make and support that they've shown us as players and things that we stand for and things that they've gotten behind and still with us on. They've been incredible. So I didn't want to be unfair and act as if, man, this is just a regular occurrence and they always get it wrong, because that's not true. And I think you get less done when you take stands like that, because then it's very simple to just say that's not true. And so for me, I wanted to be fair to everyone involved, including Robert Sarver, including the Phoenix Suns organization. I think it was very important to be fair, because for me, I didn't ultimately Robert Sarver, he didn't really have an impact or effect on anything that I'm doing, and so and sharing my opinion, it was just that. It was my opinion on, and it was my thoughts on the subject or the topic or however you may see fit. It was my opinion, and then just some thoughts that I thought should take place. Thoughts of some things that I thought should take place. And, I was very happy to see that he was selling the team because, I think that's right. When you look at some of the things that, people has gotten in trouble over, I think that falls under the same boat. And, we're all a part of this league and no one person is bigger than the league. And that, if that goes for us as players, that goes across the board. We're still all a part of the league, no matter what level you're at.
Draymond, Ron Krojcik from the San Francisco Chronicle. More of a basketball question, if I can. Steve talked the other day about managing minutes for Steph and Draymond and you and Clay. And obviously that's happened for the past couple of years. But I'm just curious, going forward, and particularly with Steph, who's a couple years older than you and Clay, how that looks, how that feels, how important that is. I mean, he obviously showed very few signs of age last year. But going forward, how important is that going to be for him and all three of you? I
think it's very important because you want it to last as long as possible. And in doing that, I think one of the things that has been incredible here over the last few years and continues to grow is the trust between our coaching staff and our performance group. Led by Rick Celebrini, and our players who ultimately has to be the ones to trust that group. And when you have a coach that will come to you and say, I don't care what it is, I don't care what it takes, just want to make sure that you're right come opening night so that you're as healthy as you can be throughout the season. That's a very comforting thing because it's not always that way, And when you have a training staff or performance staff, like I said, led by Rick, that comes and will echo the same thing, and everything that they do is to get you there, then you just trust them. And so as much as, there are times where they'll come and they say, hey, this probably isn't a good game for you to play. And, at times you can get caught up in just the competitive side of it. Like, no, I want to play. They don't get much argument back from us anymore, from myself, from Steph, from Clay, because that trust has been built. And so, as far as managing minutes and different things like that, I would love to sit here and tell you, hell no, I'm fine and I just want to play as much as I want to play. But the reality is I trust our coaching staff. I trust our performance group. They've been incredible for us. David Taylor with the sports science is absolutely amazing. And the things that he's been able to teach us about our bodies through all the data that they collect is incredible. So you just kind of trust in that process that they've taught us, and you roll with their recommendations.
Hey, Draymond, Dieter Kurtenbach, Bay Area News Group. You guys, mainly the veterans last year, justly really enjoyed reminding people, hey, we won a fourth here and proving a lot of people wrong. Is that specific chip on the shoulder still there and moving to a fifth championship, or does that have to morph a little bit now?
I don't think it's the same chip. I'd be lying to you if I told you it was, but there are chips. There are chips, and there's no shortage of chips. I can tell you that. So, it may not be quite, oh man, people don't think we can do it again, as like that opinion is like as far from relevant as it can possibly be. So whoever has that opinion should probably just shut up because it's just not a bright one. However, there are chips. They're good ones. So there's no shortage of chips.
You guys have several people entering contract seasons, yourself included. I guess number one, would you like to get something done before the season, extension wise? And two, how does going into a contract season potentially weigh on a player? At
this point, whether I'd like to or not is I don't think it will happen. And so for me, I'm just focused on this season and as you know, being as great as I can be and as I know I'm capable of being and winning another championship and reaching my individual goals that I have as well. You know, I think that's my main focus. Contract situations, contract years, that is a part of this league. I think it weighs on everyone differently. I think the way a contract situation would weigh on me is totally different than the way it would weigh on a Jordan Poole who's never signed a big contract, you know. And so I think all of that matters as well. You know, when you're in different positions of your career and you know, like, all right, you have security or you don't. And, you know, I think all of those different things plays a part into how one may react to being in a contract year. And so to each his own. And, you know, some people are motivated by contract years. Some people are nervous and struggle during contract years. I think it's all based on the player. For me personally, I think for me, any time in the contract year is motivation, you know, and that's kind of how I approach it. That's how I view it. And it's always been the way I viewed it, you know, and I've historically been the guy to bet on myself, even when, you know, others didn't believe. I've always felt confident betting on myself, and nothing changes for me now.
Draymond, you were talking about the hangover, championship hangover. So kind of two-parter. Part A, what were the hangovers like for those 3 championships back in, you know, 2015, 2018?
Well, I think, to be quite honest, I don't think we've really had much of a hangover. You know, we backed up 2015 by winning the most games in NBA history. You know, then we lost in the Game 7, then we won a championship again, and we backed that up by winning another championship. And then we backed that up by going to another NBA Finals and ultimately losing that NBA Finals. So I don't think, you know, if there was any season that may have been a championship hangover for us, maybe it was 2019, just after doing it over and over again. But even then, I don't think that was like, oh man, we have a hangover from our success. If anything, it's like, all right, let's manage ourselves to get to this day so we can do it again. And so I don't really think we've experienced much of that, but it does happen. And you have to, in order for it not to happen to you, you have to be aware of it and know that it is possible and then do the things necessary that it takes so you don't go through it.
Yeah, that was kind of like my part B of the question is, you guys talked so much about how this past championship felt different because of what you guys have gone through. Does that put you at higher risk for that hangover? Or as you were saying, you have so many chips on your shoulders still that it isn't really a concern?
No, I don't think it puts us at higher risk. You know, quite frankly, for us, with this group, you don't know how many opportunities you have left to do it again. And so because of that, you have to take advantage of the ones that you do know that you have. And for us, the one that we are certain that we have is this year. And so you want to perform as good as you possibly can. You want to make the most out of the year. And, you know, obviously the most that you can do is win a championship. And that's our focus. That's our goal. And so that's what we're striving for this year, just like every other year.
What up, Dre?
What's up, brother?
Two questions. The first one is we have a lot of young guys right now who obviously have won a title, but don't really know what it takes to repeat and summoning that energy. My first question is, how do you as a leader of the team make sure that there is no lacking from the younger guys and, you know, making sure that they know how to summon that energy for a repeat title?
I think number one is bringing it every day. You have to set a tone, starting in camp and in practices. I think that's extremely important. Is being certain that we are setting a tone the way that a winning culture like we've built should be set. And I think, looking at the first 2 days, we've done that. Obviously, you have to continue to build on that day after day and start stacking great days together. But with the 2 opportunities that we've had, we've done that. I think, there's also, there's also some communication in that as well, and just kind of trying to help guys understand what lies ahead. Help them in knowing that last year was great and it was hard to win a championship. To repeat is way harder, and what it takes to do that. But that's not something that you learn overnight. That's not something that you learn in the first 2 practices or even first 2 weeks of training camp. That's something that you build over the course of time. But a foundation has to be built in regards to that. And so you start right away, just trying to help guys understand what lies ahead. And I think with us having, so many guys that's been there before, myself, Loon, Steph, Clay, Andre, Steve, Q, Drew Yoder, like you have guys, Raymond Ritter, you have guys all around you that has experienced that success. And it's on everyone to continue to remind and continue to teach guys what's next, what's coming ahead, how teams will attack you. Jordan Poole, you had some success last year, right? What teams are going to try to do to you now that they've had a year of game planning for you. And so just really helping guys understand that road ahead is important. But it's a constant job and a constant process. It's not something that you're able to teach, just right off the back. Although you want to, it requires some going through, taking some lumps, and going through experiences that's not so pleasant and, using those moments to teach. But yet you try to teach as much as you can just by teaching it and not by hard lessons.
Recording stopped.